I can't begin to tell you how excited I am to see this vase. It's absolutely fantastic. Do you know what it is?
I know that the name on the bottom says Ruskin, and it's stamped 1913, and I have not known anything about it until the last 3 years.
And what have you found in the last 3 years?
I did find a book that had some information on Ruskin. It is a pottery, as I understand, from Birmingham, England, approximately 1905, and I believe it only was in operation until perhaps 1935.
Right, that's it. Well, you got the goods. It's a sad story, but a beautiful story in my view. The story of William Howson Taylor, who was he was the potter responsible for the Ruskin pottery. And so Howson Taylor was as much a chemist as he was an artist, and this is what is termed a high-fired or high-temperature glaze. It's a flambé glaze, and it involves the introduction into the kiln of metal oxides at a very high temperature, and then we get these really incredible, wonderful glaze effects. The sort of the glaze effect here is to have, we have green and purple and this sort of cream color, and they're all intermingled, but there's a sort of a almost a volcanic activity going on within the glaze, and this is absolutely what Howson Taylor was most highly regarded for. If we look at the base of it, Ruskin pottery is nearly always marked, and this is no exception. I'll put it down very gently. This one is signed, impressed Ruskin. It's also dated 1913, and as near as we can tell, 1913 would have been the date of the glazing of it. Although really the impressed mark refers to the clay body, the vase itself, rather than the decoration. Yes. So it could have been within a year or two of that sort of date. About 2 months before he died, he took all of the records, all of his written records, all of the glaze formula, and he destroyed them. He was quite adamant that he really didn't want anyone making any old rubbish and calling it Ruskin pottery. I'd venture that in an auction today, a vase like this would bring somewhere in the region of 12,000, something like that. It might be as much as 15. It is the sort of thing that collectors will get intensely competitive about.
But now it becomes a liability, because it's been sitting on my floor, and now I have to take insurance out on it.
If you want to talk in terms of insurance, it's a whole other ball game. And I think realistically, if you were going to insure this, you should be looking, I think we should do a little research, but I don't think you'd be looking at much less than 15 or 20,000 now for insurance.
$15,000 to $20,000.
To insure it, to replace it, absolutely. This plaque is an old friend of mine. I don't know, I have to ask you, where did you get it?
I actually got it at a yard sale.
Did you?
Yes.
When was that?
Probably about 8 or 9 years ago.
I sold this plaque, not 8 or 9 years ago. I sold this plaque about 15 years ago, and I don't really remember what I sold it for. What did you pay for it? Can I ask you?
50 cents.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not.
50 cents. On the back, I'm just going to turn it around. On the back, there's the lot number you sold it for, and then what really warmed my heart was opening it up on the back, and there's my listing number in my handwriting, in my little red pen, from about 15 years ago. And I'll come to the value in a minute, but I'll tell you it was a lot more than any 50 cents we sold it for. It's English. Do you know anything about the plaque?
In my research, I found that it could have been England around 1850, but I don't know anything more than that.
No, you're on the right track. I think it's a little earlier than that. It's probably about 1830. And it's a typical English romanticized view of probably sort of the Pennine country, the Lake District. You've got a cottage here and people fishing on a dock there, and dog in the foreground. It's a very sort of bucolic landscape. Often we find that there are the glaze will wear, or there'll be scratches and things like this. One's in particularly good condition. I remember it as being in good condition, and it's remained that way despite the in a yard sale.
A yard sale.
In a yard sale. I think I imagine that I estimated it something like $700 to $1,000 15 years ago.
Right.
And I'm sure I sold it within that, if not a little more than that. And today I'd be quite confident in putting an estimate of, I'd say, 1,000 to 1,500, and again expecting that it would bring the top end or better than that.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
That's
good investment.
Oh, it's an incredible investment on 50 cents. I can't believe it. Where was this yard sale? I got to go.
Actually, just about a couple blocks from my house.
I'm going to be hanging around your place.
Nice.
But this one's interesting because it doesn't look like a piece of Moorcroft pottery at all.
Oh?
It's called Aurelian ware, and this is something that William Moorcroft developed in the late 1890s. It's a miniature, almost a miniature, which sort of sets it above other pieces of Moorcroft, and this Aurelian ware is sort of characterized by the printed gilding and then these enamels on top of a underglazed blue decoration, which is really quite dramatic and colorful and decorative. I would think a vase of this sort of date, being as early as it is and as attractive, would probably be worth $1,000, maybe a little more, maybe $1,200 or even $1,500 if some bidders were to get competitive about it.
Uh-huh.
Is that a surprise?
Very interesting, yes.
I thought it might be.
Very.
Well, it's just not what the average Moorcroft collector would expect to see.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting.
Thank you very much. It's a Wedgwood bowl.
Yes.
But it's not what everyone would expect of a Wedgwood bowl. Most of us would think we'd get a blue vase or a blue
white,
bowl.
yeah.
That's right, with the white classical figures.
Right.
This represents a sort of an adventure on the part of Wedgwood into the world of almost performance art. A woman by the name of Daisy Making Jones.
Yes.
Was working for Wedgwood, introduced a line of porcelain, the decoration known as Fairyland Luster.
Oh.
And, well, she was wonderfully imaginative, Daisy Making Jones, and the decoration of this particular bowl goes back to Persia in the 12th century, and a Persian poet by the name of Nasami. And he, a dramatic poet, and then in the 15th century, the Shah of Persia
Yes.
commissioned some manuscripts, illustrated manuscripts, to illustrate his work.
Yes.
And it is from those manuscripts that these designs are derived.
Oh.
And the sort of the interesting aspect of it is, it being really quite rare, a bowl of this sort of stature and date, and we're talking about really the late 20s. In Fairyland Luster would probably be $4,000 or $5,000.
Oh my.
But as an Asami bowl,
Yes.
and extremely rare and very
Yeah.
desirable,
Yes.
and beautiful as it is, I think we'd probably be looking at more in the line of about 15,000,
Oh my
and possibly
goodness.
even as much as 20.
Oh, that's incredible. I can't believe that.